Force on Force features the largest and strongest outdoor military organization in the country. These are the men and women who make it possible to enjoy the freedom to hunt and fish. It is with great pride that we bring you Force on Force podcast, coming to you from the Force on Force Talk.
Hey, welcome to the Force on Force podcast. I'm your host, Sean Darple. We're here in the Force on Force Talk, the mobile talk. We did one prior to the Bassmaster Classic starting, and we're actually here on day 2 of the Bassmaster Classic. We're back here in the Airbnb, and we got a whole house full here. I mean, I can't tell you everybody that's in the room. We got a bunch of champions here in the room. That's a shout out to Rick. Wanted to make sure that everybody
champ is here.
Acknowledge we got multiple champions here to be specifically in this whole deal. We got Andy Woods over there, and we got some anonymous champions maybe in this room. I don't know. It's because Roy Lane be one of those guys over here. I don't know, man. But we got George Shippey. We got a couple guys. I mean, call it future champions or whatever, but we got a lot of people. Marty in here. So it could be somebody. Marty. We don't know because you don't know who fished on Force on Force. So
a couple weeks we'll find out.
We'll find out. But as always, we got the crew. We got Brent Hill. We got Matt Picard. See, I can say it if I want to say it.
Appreciate you, Sean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's roll with that.
We got that, and Andy brought Granny tonight. We're gonna get to Granny here.
Granny's in the house.
Yeah, we're gonna
my homegirl Granny.
We're gonna get Granny on the podcast here in a little bit, and we're gonna talk some stuff about Rayburn and trot lining. I think that's where we're gonna go.
Hey, me and Granny's homegirls.
Yeah, so a lot of fun we're having here at the Bassmaster Classic. Day 2 is just wrapped up. We had an awesome day 1, and we're on day 2 of the Bassmaster Classic. So as we talk about day 2 wrapping up, the question is, who has kind of been right on their predictions and who's kind of been off on their predictions?
Yeah. Well, let's just go ahead and start that George was way off. I was in the beginning. And I didn't say anything because I was rolling with it. But Polnick's not even in it, bro. So you're out.
Yeah,
you're automatically
Polnick's always in it. Don't ever count him out.
He was out as soon as it started.
I know.
Like 1 minute.
So, but we got to get Linda back in here because she's a score.
Linda's on the scorekeeper.
Here comes Linda.
Yeah, she's a scorekeeper. She's behind.
She's folding laundry.
She's behind home plate, keeping score. All right, it's pretty close, I think, between Sean and I.
Yeah. So,
all right, Linda, where are we at on the score tracker?
Okay, so we have Sean, who's got Chris Zaldane, and he's in 22nd right now, against Brent with Ben Milliken, who's in 11th place.
Who got knocked out?
Yeah, but I do like to say I had an honorable mention with Lee Livesey.
What about Livesey?
He's sitting. I got to look. Lee's sitting in
second or third?
Fourth. Yeah, so I was kind of torn between those two because they're both exactly kind of what we talked about, I think, from
the Texas Hammers.
The Texas Hammers, that local knowledge, I thought would kind of play into this.
But I feel like there should be a bet going into Sunday between you two.
I'm down. We can do that.
I think it should be $20.
If we're gonna do that, I'm gonna have to go
20 push-ups
with
No, you can't change now. You got your man.
I got my man.
You're
stuck. You went with your final answer.
Hey, here's the deal. There's a 30-pound sack sitting out there, and one of those dudes could absolutely do it.
I mean, so the difference between, let's look at the difference between.
What's the poundage? I didn't look.
I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
So Milliken, he's actually in 13. It's 34 pounds, 13 ounces on the final.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't updated what time Linda did it. And then, Chris Zaldane, because of the update, didn't even make he's not even fishing tomorrow. So he's completely out of it.
Oh man.
But that's why I think we should go with the Lee Livesey. For more, the connection he has to Army Bass Anglers.
Hey, here's the deal. If no matter what.
Yeah.
This has been great. Like the predictions were pretty close.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a lot of pressure on those dudes in the Classic. We all know about fishing under pressure and cameras on your boat. It's not easy.
Well, hold up. Where did Linda go? Linda, what about the weights? We all guess the weight.
Yeah,
too.
We got to look.
Where are we at on the weights?
What do
just remind us of who had what on the weights. Hey, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so Sean's got a total weight of 68.9 predicted.
It's already over.
Brent has got 65.8 predicted.
Loser.
I don't know. Because the leading weight's 54 pounds right now.
I mean, not
So
it could be George. George did have 71 pounds.
Say that again.
I'm just saying. His guy
Regardless of who catches
his
it.
guy never hit the water, but he did have 71 pounds.
But we brought the weight across. Baby.
Yeah.
We brought the
Put in
weight.
I mean, it's going to be right around. I mean, we haven't. I mean, it could be that 68, could be that 71. I mean, it all depends on that weather. Because I know we walked out of
blow tomorrow.
right? It was already blowing when we walked out of the expo.
The price is right. You're closest to the weight without going over.
Yeah, but if you're over, I'd rather be just under.
Yeah, I mean $1, right? Price
Yeah,
is right.
yeah, $1. So
Wow.
George's question is: are you going to be over, or am I going to be under?
Double out. Like
No, I'm good. I'm in the house. I'm winning.
All right, we'll
I
see.
got the weight.
You may have not had the right angler. You may not even pick the angler that was in the classic.
I don't remember picking any angler.
Oh,
Hey,
Matt just showed me the wind tomorrow, and it's going to be calm, 10 to 20.
Wow.
man. Big
Yeah,
fish.
but
huh?
out of the north.
Yeah, that could change things, especially.
Yeah.
Protected coves.
Yes, there is.
That's right.
So Andy,
26-pound sack yesterday with Trey. A 26-pound sack today with Milliken.
Yep,
Somebody's hitting 30 tomorrow.
I think so.
Because it's been warming all week. The fish are already moving up. Somebody's busting 30 pounds tomorrow.
So if you look at the hourly, I mean, in the morning, it's 14, 11, 13. It stays around 11 with the max gust at 14 while they're on the water. That's doable in that lake.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? With especially those coves that go east-west off the right arm, they could get in there and bust a big sack.
So some of the live feed today, you watch guys, they were picking fish off a standing timber with drop shot. They were jig flipping in there. And that some of those coves, if I picked them right from what I could see in there, those are those east-west coves that are just north of the dam. Some of those coves transition like pretty good 10-foot flats. There's a lot of fishable water in there tomorrow.
And they're going to focus
really
on
able
those
to get
staging
to.
bass.
well, and the field's been cut to 25.
Yep. So there's a lot more. There's going to be less pressure, more areas to
Yeah.
fish.
So I mean, that's going to play into it. I mean, we
A
know
lot more
that.
camera boats followed you.
Hey, speaking of camera boats, let's give a shout out to our Cody Prather.
Man, killing it.
Camera guy, Cody. He was with the leader on day one.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys don't know, so Cody Prather has a long-standing relationship with Army Bass. Actually, the reason I'm with Army Bass is because of Cody Prather and his time doing with college fishing. And he filmed Force on Force, and Cody was a camera guy on day one with Trey McKinney, the leader, and then went out with Trey again this morning. So he's out there. You know, we'll see if who he's with tomorrow.
I bet he goes with Trey again.
Yeah, he could be, or we'll have to look because I don't
Did
know.
they do the assignment yet?
And not just the camera boats themselves, but the trail boats. I mean, the spectators out there.
Oh, they're gonna be.
Yeah,
I'd hate to be a spectator boat on this lake because I mean, it's a lot
They'll go.
a lot of dangers. You know, with
there was
the
a crowd of them following Lee around today. Had
Yeah.
posters standing up on the front, hooting and hollering when he was catching fish.
yeah. So, like I said, Lee has a connection, like we mentioned, with Army Bass Anglers too. I know a guy at Wrap Company. He wraps Lee's boat, and he rewrapped it right before the classic to get it ready to go. So,
You know, as long as we've been out there, who doesn't have a connection with Army Bass?
it's funny that you should say that. There's a lot of people that do some shape or form, whether it's a company in the industry. So, you know, we reach and touch a lot of people. We're out there. We were even out there trying to help Britt and I were actually out there last night trying to help some younger anglers.
Yeah, some opens pros.
Yeah, some opens pros get hooked up with our great partners at Lawrence, because sometimes I think not only do we rep our companies, do a really good job for it, but sometimes our companies don't know the people that they should be watching or the thing. And I think that's one thing that we've done really good in our military careers, being able to identify,
Recognizing talent.
And I think that's what we do really, really well. And so, you know, we're at a party last night talking. What did we say in that room? Like, how many? It was over 2,000?
There was 2,000, over 2,000 double digits in that room that were caught with those young 20-year-old hammers. I mean, those guys are Texas guides, big bass specialists, and these kids are the future of bass fishing, and it's unbelievable to watch them.
Now, I would like to go on record. They kept calling Brent the old man.
They did. I know. It's not fair.
So it was kind of funny to watch it.
So, Sean, I think this segment, since we're in Texas, should be brought to you by Grande Bass. The original Airtail, often intimidated, never duplicated, tournament-winning baits, designed in Texas since 2005. Thank you.
A staple in Texas.
And we've been selling a lot of those at
Yeah.
the booth. And not only us, but our guys at Monster Bass have been selling a lot of those baits. And so...
and the Monster Bass boxes. Like those,
I wish we had some more of those Monster
They're
Bass.
gone.
They're gone. They're gone from the baits. And I think that's a big deal. I mean, that is a great...
We sold 130 tackle boxes
today.
That was awesome.
Sold
130.
out. Yeah, sold out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're gonna have some more more grande bass tomorrow. Not only that, but we got first contact tungsten that
right.
guys come looking for tungsten weights. Lead sucks.
Yep.
So good stuff. Hey Brent, how are your glad baits doing?
Man, I think we got like 19 left
Yeah.
out of 200. So truly appreciate the support. We got a lot, like Jonathan Van Dam came and got one, former Bassmaster Classic champ. Cliff Pace came and got one. Several other pros came and got some. And then, man, the word's out. So it's pretty cool.
I think what's kind of cool, Rick, is that we're always getting pulled in like different directions. Like people come looking for us and trying to, like, poor George is getting stuck back in the booth and trying to make things happen. Thankfully, we got Linda running things back there in the booth for us. We'd give a big shout out to the wives that been here supporting us all week at the Classic. I think
Definitely MVP.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
has allowed us to be flexible in what we kind of needed to do to reach and do a lot. This is a very different event that we do all year long because there's so much networking that has to go on at the Bassmaster Classic.
So when you talk about support, defend fish, and you look at that support piece, they've really supported us. So, like, we couldn't have done this without Linda and Jess and, Matt coming in and Marty. Man, it's unbelievable.
You see, I was talking to that retired police officer today. I sold him a square, and he went to give me the cash. I said, "Sir, they won't let me touch that since the incident. I've got my water off." And he just looked at me all funny and handed her the money.
we love messing with them along the way. We mess with a lot of people, but we see not just that, but we see a lot of people, what we call friends in the industry. We see that we talked about it at the Toby. We see every year at the Toby, but we do the same thing at the Bassmaster Classic. Some of the same people that we see every year in and out, and that's what's kind of fun.
Here's a good one. So, coming to the Classic, you see everybody, it's anybody in the fishing industry, all kinds of people, and not just fishing industries, but a lot of social media, celebrities. So, let's start. So who you think was the coolest person that you thought was really cool to get to see, and why?
I'll let you want me
Man,
to go?
I think we go to Matt because
Yeah,
Matt
let's go
had
to
a
Matt.
very good experience
Go ahead,
today
Matt.
with Mr. Bill Dance. Talk about that.
Well, this goes back to this being a brotherhood, right? So I've come back from a quick break, and there's George and Andy standing in the line saying, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" Well, my default is to say, "Hey, whatever you need me to do," right? But he's like, "You're going to stand in this line. Somebody's coming up here." And we stood there for about 5 minutes, and he had me guess every famous angler that has been there. I said Hank Parker. I said, I don't know. There's a couple names I went off with.
He named a lot of good ones. I said, more famous than that. More famous than that.
And then we look over to our left, and here comes Mr. Tennessee himself, Mr. Bill Dance. And it was like a kid. Like, I went back to being a child.
Yes, man.
And that's what the Bassmaster Classic's about, especially for someone that's never been here before. It is an immersion into the fishing industry, but not just like the new technology and baits. And, obviously you guys are working to, better the organization and do that networking. But it is such a experience for anybody that's never been to a Bassmaster Classic with the Hank Parkers, right? We went down, we walked the floor, George and I, and we met Todd Fairchild, right? Faircloth, I'm sorry.
And Shaw Grigsby.
We met, Gerald Swindell.
Vice President of Skeeter Boats.
Right. It's been such an
champ.
experience. And if you're a task force member out there and you've never gone to one of these expos or events with the pro staff, you are missing out. I mean, we get together and you get to be part of the brotherhood of ABA, but this is where it's at. I mean, just the opportunities to be included in an event like this is just something that I never thought I was going to be able to do.
Man,
but
that's awesome.
Meeting Mr. Bill Dance was the highlight of my day.
Hey, I have a question. Granny, do you know Bill Dance?
Yeah.
You know who Bill Dance is?
Well, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long, long time.
I took that picture home that he autographed
Yeah.
today and showed it to her, and she was,
But I hadn't seen. It's been ages and ages.
Yeah,
I got
so
older than he did too.
it was pretty neat. So actually, that picture I told him because he looked totally different in the picture, and I said, "When did they take this, Bill? Like 2 weeks ago?" And he said, "Oh, I wish," because it was from quite a few years ago. But it was kind of interesting to us because me and Andy started talking to him about being on Rayburn or saying, we're from Rayburn area, and he immediately he really wanted to talk to us.
Yeah.
And there was a long line waiting. So me and Andy were up there for a long time. And when I started coming back, I think it was Rick asked me, said, "Hey, way to hold up the line." And I said, well, he was asking me for fishing tips, So I had to talk to him. I mean, but yeah, that's pretty neat. So he asked a lot of stuff. He was asking us about stuff on Rayburn that before my time even. So
Well, probably out of Jackson Hill,
Jackson Hill, he was talking about some
we
hotel.
talked about Jackson Hill, Black Forest, and Five Fingers.
Yeah, he said he was asking about some hotel that used to be.
Yeah, a hotel that was down by Five Fingers area. Now I can't remember what name he called it.
Yeah.
But it did sound familiar, so it would have been, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember no more.
So that's where he stayed a lot. But
Yeah.
so Bill Dance, anytime. So, and so for me, I always think, I relate it back to another story. I got to see Porter Wagner and little Jimmy Dickinson, those guys at the Opry, and and then they died shortly after that. So you see these guys that are on up there in age. This may be his last classic, so being able to see him, that's pretty cool deal.
You guys know how old he is? Take a guess. Any guesses besides Andy?
78.
I think he's in his upper 80s. I know that.
George?
I would think he's in his 80s.
84. Good guess, Andy.
Yeah.
Wow.
84.
Yeah, all those guys are iconic. So I shared this with I was talking to some people today. We all have military coins, right? So one of my most coveted military coins it's not a military coin. It's Forrest Woods gave me an Arkansas Game and Fish coin that he took out of his wallet when we came back from Afghanistan.
Man, that's
Personally.
awesome.
Hey, Sean, that's a good point because you know who else has challenge coins?
Who's that?
So my old captain, when I was in Alaska, became the commanding general for the honor guard. And so he was there during President Trump's first inauguration, did all that. But he had a visit by one person, and I bet you guys could not guess who he got a challenge coin from during that presidency, who visited the White House.
Who's that?
The Pope.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
He got a challenge coin from the Pope.
Yeah. I got a lot of challenge coins like for the milk, but anytime you get those off challenge, to me, those are like kind of cool.
Because you ain't getting them anywhere else.
No, and that's why I said but not just that, he took it out. Like this is a personal coin that he kept in his wallet. Like he kept an Arkansas Game and Fish coin in his wallet, and he took it out of his wallet and gave it to me. And so like when he passed away, he'd be an icon of bass fishing and what it is, and I've seen him at so many previous Bassmaster Classics.
I haven't seen Jimmy Houston here.
I saw him today.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I saw him and
another icon.
Yeah, him and
Oklahoma spinnerbaiter.
Yeah, him and Roland Martin were down there on the Bass Pro Shop.
They're always together.
Yeah. Hank,
nice.
Hank,
Church
Hank,
service by the waterfall. Right?
Yeah, Hank Parker's down there. He's, he almost killed himself. It fell out of a tree. He was trying to move a tree stand. He was trying to move a tree stand and wasn't hooked in, and he fell out of it, and they had to med flight him out.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. He's lucky to be here with us. So
He had a long. I don't know if it was like a post or video.
Yeah,
but
his granddaughter did it
testimony.
with him in the hospital bed, like after he was med flighted and whatever. It was one of those deals where I'm like, dude, I don't know, like, it's hard for me to get kind of geeked out when I don't know when they say who's the most or biggest celebrity.
Man, I'll tell you what, somebody who, every time I meet him, I always just kind of look up to him is Davey Hite because of his military background. Yeah. He's a classic champ, and Davey's such a good guy. Like, no matter who it is, he's going to be the same genuine guy.
But I look at him as he's like one of us. See,
I know.
Because like every time we're doing something with the West Point team, and he always, like, he'll do something with the college fishing when Yamaha's part of it. And like Davey will come over and like just hang out with the West Point guys because his son fished with the West Point team and
Yeah, he was a ranger.
And he's a ranger, and so like, so that's when I say I don't like particular. I was having a conversation with Eddie today. I'm trying to think of Eddie's last name. Fishes and retired Army guy, and we were having this discussion. But I always say this: like, I don't get like spazzed out by some of those guys because it took me a while to kind of figure this out. Like, for what we've done in the military. I found that they're more interested to kind of talk to us sometimes than we are to be talking to them. So I sometimes want to just ask them intriguing questions. I don't know if, so when you say most interesting, I think probably the most interesting, I didn't really talk to him. I was standing there talking to Big O. We're in the Rage Tail guys today. So Lucas Black.
He's down there.
He's down there. So what do I say? So I don't really say biggest celebrity, but most interesting because he's trying to make that transition from movie star to fishing. And so I say probably from a piece of most interesting, I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him just to be like, 2 reasons, I think, to see how that's going. And then I would love to know how that connection, how he's kind of viewed from the Hollywood perspective of being, because if you've noticed his whole thing is bringing masculinity back. That's his whole like motto things. Like
so a lot of it, he's got a big Christian background, testimonial and stuff. But I just want to hear him say, you know who he is?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I just want to hear him say, I like the way you talk.
I mean, it goes all the way back to sleep play. Yeah. So I think that would be the most interesting, like just to have a conversation with him. That would be kind of cool.
He's running scooter too.
Yeah, he is running a scooter.
Yeah. So yeah, I get what you're saying, about that, and that's what I say. So with Bill Dance, it's always, is this going to be the guy's last one?
Yeah,
the thing about that is it don't matter if you even know anything about fishing.
Yeah,
Bill Dance crosses all those lines. Young, old, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows Bill Dance. He's, that's when you're a kid, so I'm like Bill Dance,
I mean, Tennessee made a dang baseball hat for the baseball team off the Tennessee. Last year, they wore a Bill Dance baseball hat for an entire game series. I mean, that was a national championship baseball team for Bill Dance.
But I understand what you're saying about fishermen, they're like us, and we've hung out with so many of those guys. Gary Dobbins came by the pool, had a long conversation with Gary Dobbins. Yeah. Good dude, lives in Sulphur Springs now. Told him I want to fish with him in the Invitational, but we'll see how that goes. I can't ditch my partner. But, yes, it goes way back. Go ahead.
All right. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Hungry Howie's Pizza, the original flavor crust pizza with 8 mouth-watering flavors.
Hey, we do appreciate Hungry Howie's Pizza, but I just got to ask that question. Is that so you don't get in trouble with Linda?
No, because they're a great sponsor.
I mean, we all love them, and we all appreciate them. We remember them. We just wanted to know if this is so you could be like, I remembered Hungry Howie's Pizza.
No, I knew that was going to come up, and she's sitting right next to me. But you know who we owe a big thank you to besides Hungry Howie's, and Linda knows her very well, and I just want to give a big shout out to our Florida Hungry Howie's, and that's Jennifer Hearn. She definitely loves the veterans, loves Army bass anglers, and thank you to Linda for bringing her in, because one of the things you guys don't know is the Hungry Howie's family in Florida has no veterans in their family. So when they learned about what we do for veterans and for organizations, they were very proud of it, even with the Paralyzed Veterans of America. So I want to thank Linda wholeheartedly, because for them to jump on board of something they've never seen or done anything with before, it means a lot to me, and I know for Army bass anglers. So thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. They just got to do a taco pizza next time.
Yeah, I know. I told them, Brent.
Yeah, I know.
He's picky.
And more meat during filming, right?
We need more meat on our
picky.
Pizza.
Yeah. Here we go.
I gotta say, here's the funniest thing. Brent was in here talking smack, and I heard Household 6 from the kitchen.
Shut me down.
Shut him down. It said exactly LTC Hill.
Yeah.
No, so that was funny, but the funnier one is Cinnamon Roll 6.
Yeah, that's a whole. We'll bring that up on another one. We had I'll tell you what. So unbelievable conversation with Lawrence today. Jeremiah, the team, Simon, Matt Worth, all those guys, awesome partners, long-term partners. I mean, Sean's right now, you can't see him right now, but he's wearing a Lawrence shirt. I mean, we're all in with them. But man, the young generation like makes me feel good because there's some guys out there that are really into this bass fishing deal.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see like what's changing and, continuing the tradition. Because you talk about Bill Dance, you talk about Roland Martin, and you see the transition of where bass fishing's come. We're at the Classic, man. And it continues to get bigger every year. So what's it going to be like in 5 years? I think it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah,
So cool.
it's going to. The Classic is a culmination of a lot of things in our industry, and I think there's always a question between Bass, MLF, and MPLF, but there's no event like the Classic that's out there that kind of brings it together. There's just something special. I sometimes I wish I could go back to what Matt's feeling right now because I've been to so many at this point.
Yeah.
And
Andy, have you ever been to a Classic? This is your first Classic?
This is my first one.
What do you think?
It is at first it was a little overwhelming because we walked around Thursday a little bit once we got our booth mostly set up, and then getting to see just wall to wall 2 stories of just nothing but vendors and shows and product, and it's a little overwhelming at first, but it's neat getting to see everything's out here. And one of them, kind of the coolest thing for me, hands down, was when you see a little kid that looks like he's 8, 10, 11 years old, little boys and little girls, in some of the OG Pro jerseys with their names on them, and then seeing them just absolutely fanboy and fangirl out when they saw. I saw a 10-year-old boy in line with us who recognized Bill Dance when he came through the door, and he started, kind of running in place when he saw the man.
Yeah.
And I was feeling the same thing. My feet were still, but to me, so when you hear people say, like you see comments on social media and you hear people say that, oh, bass fishing's going away and it's a dying art. Absolutely not. There's kids walking around that convention center today that are replacing us on the way out. They're the next generation and the generation after that, and they're all in, man. It's great seeing that kind of thing.
I went to the Life Member Lounge today, and there was a little kid there, and he turned around, he asked the guy behind it, and said, "So who you think's going to win it?" And the guy, well, yeah, or who you pulling for or something. And then he starts talking about one of the anglers. He said, "Well, I'm pulling for this guy." I said, "I actually got to fish with him. I don't know how he learned. He's a scoper. He's a scoper. And I don't know how he seen all the stuff on that scope." I'm like, man, this little young kid, I'm like, okay, all right, he's into it. Yeah, he's definitely into it.
I mean, it is cool to see stuff, and that's why I think back to like my first experiences at a Bassmaster Classic. I mean, I've been very blessed throughout my life to be able to get to go to them. I don't know, probably since I was probably 10 or 12 years old, first Bassmaster Classic I ever attended. So like I've attended a lot and pretty cool experiences along the way. I mean, and now to be like where we're in the position we are in the industry, to be the people. I mean, it's cool to have people come up and ask you for your autographs and things like that, and to recognize the TV show and things like that. And I think that's just something that we sometimes take for granted, but I don't really take for granted at the same time. I mean, it's my boys like to make fun of me about it,
Yeah, we witnessed that earlier.
Yeah, we put up a video of James making fun of us.
Yeah,
but
he got you.
He got me, but it's.
I mean, so back to what Andy and even Matt and George are talking about, and I think we're all alluding to it, is that you see these kids that are involved with the outdoors, that want to get out there and go fishing, and they get the same adrenaline rush that we do when we catch a bass on topwater.
Yeah.
Or we get that spinnerbait bite or whatever it is, catching a bass and getting in the boat and taking those pictures and having that memory for life. That's what I love about it, is that I was that little kid who loved catching fish. And it didn't matter if it was a bass or a bluegill or a crappie or a catfish or out there on Rayburn, with trot lines, Granny, So
I do have kind of a question for Granny.
I was one of the first ones that sell bait.
Yeah.
On Rayburn.
Yeah.
Sold minnows all the way around the lake. And You remember Nakalina that used to be at Etoile?
Yes, ma'am.
I stocked it with baits and everything. So I've been on that lake for years. But now Andy and I have 7 acres right there on Sam Rayburn.
The Towson Park.
So,
I said, ask his friends to come.
we're going to come. I do have a question. So, were you around? I know we're talking about Sam Rayburn, but were you around when the whole Toledo Bend was built and it filled up and like almost like a
Oh, yeah.
very, very like
Yeah.
fast deal? Do you remember like when that happened?
Yeah, I sure do.
Well, they lost like
Took
all
a
those,
lot of houses. It took a lot of property in.
and they lost like it was supposed to take something. So for all the listeners, and you probably can talk more from a historical perspective, but for all the listeners, they built Toledo Bend, and it's supposed to take something like 3 years to fill up, and it takes what, a month or so? They have
it was like 3 months.
3 months. Or do you remember what was it? Was it like a straight? You can talk probably from that perspective. Was it like a straight? How was the rain, or how did it happen?
Well, Rayburn?
Yeah, well, Toledo Bend, which would have been affected by Rayburn.
Oh, yeah. Well, whenever they shut those gates down on either one of the lakes, it didn't take long for them to come up because they both had good rivers and everything going into them.
And we had some rains too,
Oh,
right?
yeah. And everything that it either went east or west, and it all ended up in those lakes.
Mhm.
So it had good drainage.
So
and everything.
what year they finally make Rayburn? Or what it like 60?
What?
60? What year? You remember what year Rayburn?
Oh,
I think it was
back in the 60s.
I was thinking it was around 63
Somewhere
or
like
64. I may be off. I'm
I'd have
not
to go
sure.
back and look that up.
Maybe it might have been
Yeah.
the 70s, but it's been a long time ago.
For sure it's in the 60s. Didn't Kennedy have something to do with Rayburn? Do you recall any of that? I just think I thought I heard stories about
Didn't who?
President Kennedy.
Oh, yeah. And Johnson.
Johnson.
Oh, yeah, Lyndon Bain Johnson. Yeah.
So
And she's the one that planted the flowers all up and down the roadside, too.
Okay, so we just looked it up, Linda did, and the
Yeah.
United States Army Corps of Engineers began construction on September 7th, 1956, and the deliberate impoundment water began on March 29th, 1965. So you were right there.
Yeah.
65.
Yeah.
see, Granny still
1965.
just sharp as a tool. And she
Yeah,
knows exactly
yeah.
when it was.
Listen,
Yeah.
in
Well,
March of
I
65.
love to fish. And the schools around Broadus, Sabella, and San Augustine, and Shelbyville all have a team of young boys
And
in
girls.
school, and girls, yeah.
For the high
The
schools?
high school teams now.
And they go out and fish all those tournaments and everything. They have just special tournaments for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they really, one's going to North Carolina or somewhere.
Oh, for the
fishing.
national championship.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Wow.
They're
that's
doing
awesome.
really good, but each boat has a fisherman in it.
Captain.
They don't send the kids out by
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
They have somebody with
The
them.
boat captain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And how did we say how young Granny is?
How young are you?
But anyway, I loved trot line.
How young are you, Granny?
What?
How old are you? How young are you?
I'm 91,
91.
Oh, wow.
going on 92.
Going on.
And I've been
92.
sewing at sewing machine all day making quilt.
Oh,
Got to put my little ad in.
there you go.
Yeah, hey, if you need a quilt, let's get a hold of Andy.
Where's Rick?
This segment is brought to Granny. Granny's quilts right there.
Got time to pay the bills.
They're available.
Granny, Granny, you remember the living rooms of the house? How they had the big quilt, the big square, and they would tie it up on a string, and it would raise it up, and they'd lower it down. The ladies would sew on it. So,
Those. I was doing that when President Kennedy got killed. I was
Oh, wow.
quilting. And my youngest son was just old enough that his head would, I could keep up with him where his head was under that quilt.
Granny, I got a question for you. Who is the most famous person you ever met in your 91 years?
Who's the most famous person I ever met? I guess Bill Dance.
Yeah.
Bill Dance, huh?
Comes full circle.
Hey,
Yeah, see?
giving it up for Bill Dance.
I made Stanley jigs,
Yeah.
out of Huntington.
Oh, yeah.
I made those. I done a little bit of everything on Sam Rayburn Lake.
Wow.
Caught some wonderful fish.
Oh,
Had a lot of good time.
fried a lot of them fish too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Andy said, "Don't throw them back."
Ready to get mad at you for throwing back.
What you catch out of the lake, they'll bite better than what you get out of some other pond.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a lot better chew.
Yeah.
But anyway, we enjoyed it.
So we have a pretty interesting story about trot lining. Growing up with Granny and my papa Jack, every spring we'd have trot lines out. 4 or 5 of them up and down the Toyac River there on the Townsend branch north of Jackson Hill. One year, pretty early in the season, one of the trot lines got hung up. Nothing we could do could get this thing unhung. I mean, wrapping it around the front of the boat and backing down on the motor, it was just stuck. So we figured one of the hooks was buried in a log or something that washed on it. So we spent the entire fishing season. Every time we go out and run the rest of the lines, we'd try to get on it. It was hung up. So fast forward a whole year. We go out the next spring. My grandpa says, let's go check that line to see if it's still there. So she starts pulling on it and it just starts coming loose. And she tells him, "Jack, there's a fish on this line." And then of course he's like, "No, there ain't no fish on there. That thing's been buried in the, in a log in the bottom of the lake for a year. There ain't no fish in there." And she's like, "I'm telling you, there's a fish on here." And she's pulling it up and pulling it up and pulling it up. And sure enough, this young lady here pulls up a flathead catfish. And I've got a picture of it in my phone where she's standing there holding this fish up, and she's 5'6", 5'7", and this fish goes from the bottom of her chin to the ground and curves over a little bit. This fish had been hung up under a log for a year and just eating whatever would get close.
We got to
to
get
it.
a picture of that fish.
We do. We need a copy of that picture of
get a picture of that fish, Granny,
for the Facebook
I'll
page.
get you a picture on it.
And he had scars on him, where he had rubbed the line and all that kind of stuff. But
he didn't want to get caught.
Trying to get out from under that log.
We had some friends that had baited a hole, and they came out there and fished every day almost. And we said, we're not going to tell nobody because they'll think we run somebody's line. I said, well, let's go tell Caravan, her husband, about it, because there wasn't nobody else on the lake, and they knew we trot line. And we went over there, and I held the fish up. It didn't even flop. And
It was just
showed
wore out,
them.
ready to go.
And so we went on to the house, and of course we had not a luncheon place, but where we launched our boat, and everything. And I took him out of the boat, put him in the pickup. He was longer than the pickup was wide. He still didn't flop. And we got to the house and we put him in no boat we had full of water. When he found out he was loose, he wet Jack, my husband, and our neighbor that was standing there looking at him, when he found out
He went to
was
flopping
loose,
knee.
he went crazy. And they said, "Are you going to eat him?" I said, "If God left him there for that long for me, I'm going to eat him."
Oh, man. He was good, wasn't he?
Oh, he was good. Wasn't no fat on him.
That's a story right there.
Right.
That is
That's a
a
good one.
story.
Yeah. Well,
That's
it's
awesome.
all about telling stories, and I think that's what the things in the outdoors. I think that's
The greatest memories.
yeah,
you'll
you
ever
are.
have.
I mean, things just grow better in the outdoors. I think that's what makes it so unique.
Oh, and speaking of that, we got a first timer tonight.
we do have a first timer tonight.
Linda, you had your first ever deer burger tonight. How was that?
Deer burger.
Well, it was actually better than I expected. Probably would have been better if you didn't tell me what it was before I ate it, but
But you're open to that now. Like you
kind of maybe.
Kind of maybe.
Yeah.
Game.
No, I didn't get gamey at all. It was
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
But I also think outside of having her first
the big
game burger, this is her first.
Yeah, it is your first Bassmaster Classic. Yeah. No, she's completely out of her comfort zone at the Bassmaster Classic, as Rick is saying. Yeah.
It's like I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you are.
It's a lot of fun.
Hey, so we got some pictures finally brought up.
We got Granny with the
catfish.
That's going out there.
We're gonna put that out there.
That's going to be on Facebook. You
I love that hat
Facebook.
she's wearing too. That's freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's probably Stanley Jigs hat.
Oh,
She's tying them jigs down here.
Hey, which is probably the hat style that's back in right now.
We just had this conversation. I just had 5 of those made today. We're gonna check them out. Yes, the
rope hat is probably it's back. The rope hat is back. I'm like, oh my goodness. I get to laugh. I'm
the
like,
legend.
I'm like, when I first started seeing, I'm like, did these kids like go dig this out of their grandpa's closet or something? I'm like, I'm laughing at it because that's what I'm laughing at, man. I'm just like the way it is. Wow. But yeah,
hey, we're gonna have some really good pictures.
We got some unbelievable. Andy's over here showing George and I these pictures of Granny with some giants.
Yeah,
I mean
giants.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
This is
so not only if you nothing else, if you see the pictures, it's going to make you want. Well, what are they talking about? Who is this? So,
what are these? What is the story behind these pictures right here? And I think that's kind of.
You know what we need to. All of us need to go back and look and get some of those old pictures and kind of bring that back. I've got some really good old ones too. I know you got some.
Oh yeah, man! For my kids, and they were little bit.
Yeah,
holding fish.
Your first bass, your first catfish or whatever.
Pictures.
I don't know. As my wife would say, man, why did they not go through awkward stages anymore like we did growing up? Do you really want to bring them old pictures out? That's the question.
Yeah.
But I mean, those old pictures are nostalgic and things like that.
Yeah, it brings back that instant memory, takes you right back to that moment.
It does,
and that's why we were talking about these kids in the outdoors and keeping them involved. That's important.
It is. It keeps them involved. Not only that, but it helps the industry continue to thrive. I think that's a huge piece of it. We hear reports every year of less hunting license being bought or less fishing license being bought. The only way to combat that is to get, younger people involved in it and to get them out there and to get them enjoying the sport. We've had this conversation. You're seeing more and more of them just maybe not so much tournament fishing, but on the younger kids, they're out there guiding and doing YouTube and
they're just enjoying
fishing. They're not fishing the tournament scene. I mean, there's more of that going on too. I think that's something that I'm really kind of starting to see. That it's not so much everybody used to thrive to be a tournament angler.
There's some guys out there that are not tournament anglers that are absolute hammers,
and they're content with being,
the fishing for fun, making content, getting memories on camera.
Yeah.
Sharing the word,
trying
different baits.
So we had this discussion as we talk about these younger kids. Brent, tell the listeners where when we talk these short reels and things like that in social media, where did this come from?
Yeah, so man, I want to say my first deployment, I had a guy come up to me right before we went into country, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to give you this GoPro. And I need you to attach it to your Kevlar, and we want to get footage of you. And every month we're going to have you send it to this email link, and you got to download this SD card, and then send it if you can get internet service." This is where the reels started from. We started with GoPro action combat footage. That's how that started. And here we are, fast forward 25 years, where the GoPros are, and from skiing to being on a bass boat to having them in your boat to people skydiving with them to whatever the case is, GoPro was started with the action camera in combat.
As we wrap this podcast up, I just wanted to kind of tease that because that's something that Brent and I want to kind of dive in and talk more about.
We're going to talk more about that.
More about that in a future podcast and kind of discuss that more because I think that's kind of interesting from our experience to what kind of happens going forward I think that's a really cool deal is what we're seeing kind of in the industry, and it does have a connection back into the military.
And it almost brings a tear to my eye, but on camera, I got one of my guys that we lost in Afghanistan on camera, and it's tough.
Right.
So,
but that's why we get to have a Bassmaster Classic because of that. Because of that, and we get to do that kind of stuff, and I think it's some cool things.
Real combat footage.
And that's where it kind of started. We'll talk more about that. I know as we close out here. Rick, you got any closing thoughts as we get ready for day 3 coming up?
I think a couple things. One, it's a blessing to be here. This is my first Bassmaster Classic, and it's an honor to be here and get out and talk to our sponsors and new companies coming on board. But I really think for all of us, and I think everybody's going to agree, it really goes with the grace of God, right? This fishing community is amazing. It really is. The way people reach out and touch one another, the bonds and the relationship we build, no matter if they give someone money or not, it's the friendship, it's the camaraderie, it's the laughter, it's the memories, as Granny talked about with this catfish. That's what it's truly about. And I really think the glory of God blessing everybody, having this fishing industry and being able to go out and fish like we do on the show, recreational, whatever it may be, but we make memories, right, Granny? That's the way it's all about.
Well, after all, I'm Andy's grandmother. Just to let y'all know who I am. I'm Andy's grandmother. And I've enjoyed every minute of his life that I've been with him. He calls me at 5:00 every afternoon if he's not home.
That's good.
He done that while he was in service and everything, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Granny.
And I appreciate you guys inviting me over for this evening.
Hey, it's our pleasure.
It was a wonderful dinner. I enjoyed my burger.
Yes, ma'am. You made a few deer burgers in your day.
Oh, yes, I have. But, cooking them outside means so much. And cooking fish when you bring it out of the water and clean it and cook it right then, it's really different than it is after it's been in the refrigerator for a day or two.
Yeah.
Or frozen.
Yeah.
But,
or processed.
Mm-hmm. But when you do it yourself, you know what you got.
That's right.
And I'm just looking for my next birthday. I'm just looking for him to take me back fishing again.
Yeah? You go 70 miles an hour on that skeeter boat?
Yes, he does. But that's okay. I'll hang on. I've got a life jacket up to here,
Yeah.
But anyway,
every time somebody asks me why I have a dual console boat, it's because I've ridden in both. And I tell you what, this is the reason why I have a dual console skeeter. Because she can tuck in behind that console and I can go 70 miles an hour without it blowing her out of the boat.
Granny's just
got some handholds.
Granny's holding on to the console. That's right.
He definitely holds on.
Yeah, I do. Because, I don't want to fly out of there.
There's no brakes on those.
I know. And I keep telling him don't go fast and then slow down all at once. You got to wait and let the water catch up with you. If you're going.
That's how I learned that trick as when you slow down and the wake is coming, to goose it and so where it levels out. Yeah. That's where I learned.
You're saying Granny knows more than you do about boats?
Oh, yeah. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
She's the OG.
It's been nice for him to take me. Well, we got 2 boats, so we got the little boat and a big boat. So
that's awesome.
It's awesome.
That's good.
Thank you for coming, Granny.
Yep.
Well,
thank you.
Thank y'all for having me.
Do you hear your stories?
Yeah, that's cool. So as we wrap this evening up, hey, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate Brent and George, Matt, Rick, Andy, and Granny being a part of this. And Linda, we would be remiss if we didn't have her and all she does with what we do with Hungry Howie's and helping us out with when we film the TV show, and not just that, but here at the Classic. And so it's all the wives that have been a part of it with Jess, and this week has been really special to be.
It's been a good one. This has been the best one I've gone to out of all the ones.
That's what everybody asks us. We always ask us, hey, why, where you guys stay? I'm like, well, we got an Airbnb, and I'm like, this is the reason we get an Airbnb, because this is what makes it fun when we sit around the Airbnb and we do these things, and I think that's why we do it, to hang out, and I like it much better. So I appreciate everybody, and I hope you guys are going to post some pictures, kind of show some of the stories from this. We've had a lot of fun, and we'll see you on the next podcast. If you want to know more about Army Bass Anglers, go to forceonforcetv.com, and you can find out how to be a member, join us, and just don't forget we got Army Bass Anglers Force on Force TV getting ready to air the first week of April. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Force on Force podcast. Join us next time as we dive into more topics from the Force on Force Talk. For more information or to learn how to join the organization, visit our website at forceonforcetv.com.